What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Bill Mahari here, represent Mahari Nation Sports Podcast. Much love to the entire LDVC. This is not going to be a sports video. This is basically more of a political video. This is basically my 2 cents on what Too Raw for TV and what QuestX, eloquently stated in both of their videos. Now, salute to them two OGs. I'm going to put their videos of what they did in the description box so you can see it for yourself. But over the last couple of days, it's been almost 24 hours since the Atlantic report that came out, basically disclosing what you know Donald Trump pretty much said about what he views about the military. And if you don't know, he pretty much said that he called Americans who died in war are basically losers and suckers. And initially, when I heard about the report, I wasn't too surprised about that at all because honestly, that's exactly how he views the military and how he views people who serve in the military. And I'm gonna expand on that thought in a few minutes. And when I read the story from the Atlantic when he declined visiting the Marine Military Cemetery near Paris in 2018 because he feared that his hair would become basically ruined in the rain. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just these are the kind of things that we have been trying to tell people about this guy. I mean, the guy, you know, his concept about patriotism, service, and sacrifice, you know, is completely off. I mean, the guy does not know what that even means, and the sad part is he uses people's philosophies and uses people's racism to basically profit for himself because the guy is just a self-fulfilling narcissist. He's been that way all his life. And when you really look into Donald Trump's history, i mean Tuwal pretty much said it perfectly. The guy pretty much dodged the military because of some sort of petty injury. You know what I'm saying? So the guy never served the military and despised his children from ever serving the military because he would dishonor them. I mean, the guy is just basically a self-hating narcissist. That's pretty much what he is, you guys. And to really expand on this a little bit further, you know, when you look back at 2016, during the whole Colin Kaepernick protest, when he basically protested about police brutality in this country, people took that as an opportunity to masquerade their whole line of racism and their whole line of bigotry and use the military as a shield to try to masquerade their feelings. Colin Kaepernick's disrespecting the flag. He's disrespecting the military. When everybody with half a brain knew exactly what Colin Kaepernick was trying to do, which was address the issue of police brutality on black people. And the thing was, man, it's been 4 years later, and now even the NFL admitted that they got it wrong, and a lot of the owners are starting to realize that being racist is going to mean losing their business. So it's amazing how 4 years of this, changed over time. But to stick on the subject in hand here, when I looked at back at that those 4 years, it really opened my eyes to really how people, view this country. Because what people have to realize is that there are people out there that understand what the problems are. There's people out there that know what the problems are, but at the same time, they don't try to confront it. They either try to join on the problem at hand, or they just try to ignore it and hoping that it goes away. Well, I'm sorry to say it doesn't work that way. Now, I will say, I don't believe all white people are bad. All right. I was born never to hate anybody based on their race. Okay. But I will not lie to you that I always say that now I have a bit more of bit more of an eyebrows are raised and I'm a bit more aware of how people think or how people talk and interact with me based on my color. Because what we have seen here in this country is simply this: people are more judgmental and more critical of each other based on skin color, based on ethnicity. Is more intensified now in this decade. And you know I will always respect people who fought for civil rights. I mean, listen, I will tell you this: even though there's been a lot of criticism of the people that fought during the civil rights era, which is some of it's justified, the one thing I will respect about them is that they fought for something that was needed during that period of time. But now is a different type of battle that we're going up against. Okay, because at the end of the day, you know, we're fighting a more intensified battle more than ever. Because of the influence of Black Lives Matter and because of the Trump administration's basically intensifying more of the white supremacy today that pretty much he spews for his supporters. And when he pretty much disclosed on his press conference yesterday about pretty much what they said, all he did was is that he tried to deflect the old playbook of deny and reflect, and pretty much try to throw the reporters on the bus for pretty much calling it a hoax, it was a lie, and all that stuff. But what caused the pause to me was how Fox News didn't deny the report, and there were some people, that really didn't deny. I'm talking about people, within the military that didn't exactly deny the things that were being reported by the Atlantic. And what caused the pause for me is that I think that there's more information out there that is not being exposed yet, but slowly but methodically is starting to come into fruition here. Okay, but back to my point on the military. Listen, the military has been used for a lot of different things over the course of time. We've seen various administrations and political parties that use the military for their own personal gain and for their own political influence. It's been like that since the inception of the United States of America. Okay, but I will not lie when I say that I have never seen an administration. Now, I'm only 27 years old. I was a baby during the Clinton administration when basically, he basically sent troops to Yugoslavia during the 90s and was also overseeing, the influence in Somalia. Okay, I will, and then basically when I was basically a younger kid, overseeing the Bush administration, during 9/11 and how he sent troops to Afghanistan to find Osama bin Laden and that bogus war in Iraq that basically didn't mean anything, and which pretty much it was a waste of time. Okay, and then obviously the Obama administration. So at the end of the day, man, is this Trump to me is just a guy that never seems stop getting in his own way and he just reacts based on what he truly feels. And you know what's really alarming is that how his family is pretty much disowned him entirely. You look back into the reports about even when his sister pretty much is embarrassed of how his brother has been behaving. Even she is just disgusted by this. And the thing to me was that people will try to use their fake patriotism to talk about, oh, we support the military, when in actuality you actually turn around, go to KK meetings and go to white supremacy meetings and wave the Nazi or the Confederate flag to basically spew your own racism. That's all there is. Okay, and the fact that Donald Trump disrespected John McCain even after death pretty much explained to you how Trump does not respect people who fought for this country. All right, and I've had friends in my life that have basically been in the military. All right, at least 3 or 4 in my lifetime that have basically fought in the military, that served in the military. And I would not lie when I pretty much would tell you that a lot of them just are serving them because they feel like it's their fulfillment, their due diligence for their country, and some of them are doing it because they want to do something different in their lives, and others are doing it to fulfill a family tradition of people that served in the military, which is understandable. But when you have 40% of the military that are basically disapproving of Trump, I'm telling you guys, it's really alarming if you're a Trump supporter, because listen, how are you going to try to justify this story? How are you going to try to justify, you know, your hero, your savior, basically disrespecting the people that served in the military? And keep this in mind: There might be even family members that serve in the military that are Trump supporters, and they're disrespecting them even through death. All right. So at the end of the day, yo, guys, listen. It's not surprising what Trump would say, and I don't expect his supporters to try to, turn away. And I expect to do a lot more deflecting. Where it's going to hurt the most is with the independent voters. All right. If the Democrats want any chance of winning this election, they need to hammer this story home. If they wanted this window of opportunity, they got it right then and there. They better hammer this home entirely. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not I'm not as shocked by this story as more as along the lines of it's more like I I'm not surprised by this, and I told you so, that kind of feeling, because I knew what this guy was from the beginning. I knew this guy is just basically a narcissistic bastard. That's pretty much who he is, and John McCain, who served in the military as a POW. All right. Now listen, I don't support McCain at all. I think that there were a lot of his policies that I never really aligned with. But I will tell you that when it came to military service and serving in the highest ranking of the military, there was no one better than John McCain. And then the fact that John McCain, who went through, chemotherapy, literally walked out of his hospital bed, wheelchaired himself to Congress, and basically gave the thumbs down to Donald Trump's bogus health care bill, was one of the most defining moments in American history. That was pretty much an, a middle finger to Donald Trump, if you really think of it. Because of all the things that Donald Trump pretty much said and disrespected to John McCain. And I will tell you this, during his presidential campaign against Barack Obama on national television, and I watched this live, he pretty much shut down any talks of any disparaging, any racist remarks or any racist rhetoric towards his opponent. Because what McCain pretty much preached was that, listen, I may not agree with the philosophy of my opponent, but when it comes to character and when it comes to honor and respect, you know, th- that's where I keep it that way. And I'm not going to go in there and disrespect the man because of the color of his skin. That's what the Republicans were hoping for that he would do, and he wouldn't do it. So, yeah, I'm not surprised by this at all. And you look at these Trump supporters, they believe in the idea of what Trump is feeding to them, okay? But in actuality, Donald Trump could care less about them. He doesn't. He only is in it for himself. And when he leaves office, I bet you he's going to make even more money than he's ever made in his entire life, despite the fact that he's still got pending cases in New York, pending cases, in terms of his tax returns, you know what I'm saying? And charges of corruption, basically, aligning himself with Russia. So the guy uses the military just like an authoritarian regime, because Donald Trump does not view himself as a democratic, basically as a guy that preaches fair democracy. Nope. He views himself as basically a dictatorship. And unfortunately, you could get away with it, in any other country, but in the US, that, that philosophy is just not, it just won't work. It just will not be tolerated. And I've never seen, like I said before, I've never seen a president that has used the military on protesters, that has used the military on Black Lives Matter, that has used the military on various of occasions than what I've seen from Donald Trump. So at the end of the day, if you're his supporters, I don't care for you don't matter to me. You know what I'm saying? A lot of you white supremacists are basically domestic terrorists, and trust me, I bet you there'll be one significant attack on this country that is going to be started by them, that is going to force the country to pretty much label them as high level dangerous terrorist groups, because that's exactly who they are. But to the independent people that are still, in between on the issue, look at all the things that he has said and what he has done over the 4 years that he's been under office. And think to yourself, is this man really worth another 4 years of this? That's the question you got to answer yourself. And if you're a military person who serves in the military, you have to think yourself this question: is it really worth going through all this military training, traveling all over the world and stuff like that? And I did not even mention that the fact that Donald Trump basically dismissed the troops that were basically killed by the Taliban by Russian troops. And so you look at all these situations, you think to yourself, like, is this really worth it? Can you really go through this again? I know I won't. But that's the question you're gonna have to think to yourselves in the next couple of weeks as we get ready for the November election. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section, and I will post a video of their videos in the description box. All right, I'm out.